by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your force, and the Ad Council.
As a 10-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school, free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, welcome back to Bigger Than the Score on 93.7 The Ticket. It's great to be back. This is Peter Ferguson with Peter Ferguson BHS LLC and Lincoln Public Schools, and actually in studio today. I think last week I got caught up in Georgia a little bit, so it's great to be back here with Harrison. How you doing?
Not too bad, yeah. And last week you were streaming in from Georgia, but luckily we had Phil step in here. Phil was great. Good talking to him. And it's been a busy week, man. 48 games done. We're finished. Nick Sainert can finally rest his vocal cords for a bit. I felt bad for him because I think it was the Class B game, and you could start to hear his voice was just it was killing him.
It was like he's going through puberty right there. It's just starting to crack.
Yeah, it was tough. But again, shout out to those guys. And then obviously Carter Longy and Josh too calling those games. Man, that's a brutal job when you're calling that many in a row. And then you have those guys and just the entire ticket crew to be able to show all those games and again all the sponsors that made it possible, because it's hard to get 48 games and there's not a lot of people that can do that, because it's just you need a staff that's willing to just commit a ton of hours into it. So again, it was awesome, and I know you went to Georgia. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. But it's been a minute, but it's good to see you, Pete. And we got a full show ahead again, going all the way up until 9 o'clock. You can join the conversation on the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. And if you want to put a face to the voice, we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Yeah, and I think, like I said before, you talked about just that the providing a platform, just for excellence. And so it was great to hear some of the interviews. And again, I got to say, congrats to East Strick. Bellevue took the title. I didn't know if you were going to be able to keep him in the seats. I know the week before you talked about AD jumping up and down with the Lincoln High run, and they said he was like the mayor of Lincoln High for those games to that run. So again, congrats to Strick. I got to play against him in high school, and I'll just say, just a phenomenal representative, not just of Bellevue West, but just as a state and of doing that. So I got to give some personal shouts out to him, and just the whole run for all those teams. Just to see, like I said, it kind of wraps up the winter, session of, high school sports in the state. And you're seeing across, I was in Georgia, I saw Illinois, and you're starting to see all those finals come to fruition and ready to make that transition to spring sports. So congratulations to all the state championship winners, also to the staff at NSAA for just the work they've done. And then just, again, sometimes the people you don't get to see, you think about the parents, you think about the student managers, you think about the trainers, all those individuals. Basketball, that winter season, that's a long season. And so there's a lot of people that go into the work for that. And so just congratulations to them. And I hope everybody who got the opportunity even to participate in the season just takes a moment and just kind of reflects and enjoys it.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's the winter sports going to be brutal, because you a lot of times, I know for me, every season winter break comes, you got a tournament. You're not just hanging out. And like you said, same thing for the student managers. Like, everyone's got to go, and there's definitely days over holidays where you're still in season. You got to play, and if you're making it all the way to the run and you're in the championship game, I mean, man, that's a long season.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, recovery time, If you got any spring sports planned, I mean, that is a quick turnaround if you make it that far into state. So it'll be interesting to see. And of course, I got to shout out Cedar Catholic again. Boys and girls both made it to the semifinals.
Congrats.
Unfortunately, the boys would lose to the champion Freeman. And the girls, I can't remember who the girls lost to, but I think they lost to the 2 or 1 seed as well. But either way, just a really great group overall. I mean, they pretty much made it somewhat of a deep run than it seems like all these sports recently. So again, they're taking off. I'm curious to see, I got to look how they did in the fine arts category. I know the public school across the street always dominated that area. So interesting to see. But
can't have it all now.
Yeah, no, but shout out CC again. Just an awesome run. And it's going to be curious to see. We're going to have some athletes talk as well in the future. But yeah, that recovery time, it's such a quick turnaround.
Right.
And I know we have some guests on here that talk about that. And it's a lot for some of these high school kids just to keep next sport, keep going. Like you just got to, flip the switch. So we'll get to hear some stories as well. But, we got a little bit of time here yet. I don't know if there's anything else you want to get in before we lay out the show here.
Yeah, no, again, I want to thank Phil for just coming in last week and kind of being a on-site person. He was, phenomenal, and known Phil for a while. And so just the energy that he showed and just kind of the sincerity was great. And then you had Micah with a tremendous just life story, not just a story, but it's just a continual life journey that he's doing. And so just to hear the resilience, but just kind of the joy that he had of being who he is was great. And just to hear kind of the stories of how he got to be on the football team, that it rained that day when at tryouts. And so he came in and kicked. Then I'm thinking about, Sherry, his mom, and how she has been such an advocate, not only for him, but for others. And so that was great to tune in and listen to. Got the opportunity to travel a little bit. So an annual conference I get to go to and that I get to be a feature presenter at. And so it's the National Youth and Resiliency Advocacy and Resiliency Conference in Savannah, Georgia. And I know I got to be a tourism guru for the city of Lincoln and advocate, but I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you've ever been to Savannah.
No, never been.
It's absolutely beautiful. A lot of history, but just a lot like Lincoln in a lot of ways. But it's just a really beautiful place, right on the river, or, and you've got some different things you can do, but just the history, the richness. I think everybody says the Forrest Gump, but actually found the church. It was the first church where Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech.
That's where that took place?
Is there the first church where he actually gave the speech. People think it's the mall in Washington. So ended up visiting there. The first actual sit-in at a Woolsworth happened in Savannah, Georgia. So, those kind of things, really took them in. Got to stop in Atlanta, see Emma Koff, who was Georgia Tech, former Gatorade Player of the Year for Lincoln Southwest in 2019. So ended up surprising her and got to see her play a little bit. Unfortunately, she was out, but got to see her team. And then headed over to Florida. And got to visit a little bit. So, my daughter's looking at some grad programs and is in the portal. And so we're kind of going through that process. And so really got to be some week with family a little bit. A little disappointed. I saw this morning, we flew into Kansas City yesterday and missed Shaq. Shaq opened up a burger joint in the KC airport.
Oh, no
and
kidding?
He was actually there. Yeah. And so I was like, I looked at my thing this morning. I'm like, man, I shot my daughter a note. I'm like, we just missed Shaq.
How far off did you miss him by?
You know what? Probably about 8 hours.
Okay.
8 hours. So enough that I was still a little bitter about it. And he bought 200 burgers from his new joint for everybody. So you got to look at the pictures because the mayor is like 4 or 5. And here's Shaq with this this gray old Negro League jersey walking through the airport. You see this kid on the side just looking like
I do that too, man. Just seeing Shaq. I mean, I've luckily gotten to see him in an NBA game once.
Okay.
And I'm in the nosebleeds and I can see down on the floor. And I'm like, he still looks like a giant from all the way up here. It's like from that far away, you can say he's just an absolute massive man.
Yeah, the picture doesn't even do it justice. And then there's all these tweets like, Kansas City, your mayor is small. And so it was just absolutely hilarious. So some really cool, cool travels, got to see some different things, some different institutions, but same thing. They were kind of winding up their athletic seasons. And so you're seeing the D2, having their basketball playoffs tonight. I know people are cheering for the Oscars, but it's the unveiling show for the brackets for the final 64 or 64 plus now.
Yeah.
for
Do you count
NCAA.
the NIT? Is that you say like you made it to March Madness?
You know what I do? If you go to postseason play, you go to postseason play.
Okay. I'm the same opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just as great. I know a lot of people like, oh, you didn't make you went to postseason play, and that's unique in itself. I think about the young man at Detroit Mercy, I think it is, and I can't remember his name. Like, he's like 3 points away from the all-time leading scorer in college over Pete Maravich, and they lost in the semifinals. 3 points away. And so they're like, does he get to go? Will he get to go to the NIT or whatever? I mean, for that cat, like, I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
And you're 3 points away. And so, I think just give that team the opportunity. I think their record's like 16-14, something like that, to go. I don't think he's going to care if it's NCAA or not.
Yeah. And that's why I always add that NIT is like, for me, it definitely counts, because especially when 64 teams.
Yeah.
When you get to those last 4, you're splitting hairs. So it's like, those that are there, because there's so many teams at the end there that all kind of deserve to have a say in spots. So if you're in the NIT, it's like, there's so many teams that are in contention. So even just making that alone is like, okay, they're good enough. They definitely belong in the tournament. But no, it sounds like you had a great trip. Especially cool that you get to go see that first church where Martin Luther King was at. It's kind of cool to stand in those places. We're like generational greats, not even just general. That's a century great right there.
It wasn't that long ago either.
Yeah.
You think about it, like, you're seeing these physical structures, and like I said, the Woolsworth now is a subway, but they have the markings on the on the ground, and so you're like, man, you're looking at pictures and you're like, this is actually where this kind of stuff happened. And so we talk about bigger than the score, and those are individuals who didn't get the opportunity to play athletics. I think as we transition, we've got individuals in here. I think about, he's gonna go by Gatnor, but I'm gonna make sure I get his full name. But you think as an athlete, sitting in that space, you're like, man, as 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, this is what we were doing, not talking about postseason basketball, for individuals. We didn't have that opportunity. I think Libby here, who's going to be talking about wrestling, you think even from a female side of things, those opportunities weren't presented for females. And what role did they have? And so there's a picture that I have that's one of my favorite pictures of all time, because I finally got to know the story, is that you have these individuals at this lunch counter sitting, and there's white females there right beside them. And so the role that they had and the advocacy that they had for individuals was huge. And so I'm excited about the individuals that we have here, but just the opportunity when you go somewhere, think about it's bigger than that win or loss. People held up trophies this weekend. We've talked about pictures on Facebook, and season didn't end the way we want. My kid didn't play the way I hoped they would have. At the end of the day, man, 50 years ago, that was all for naught. It really was. And so take in each and every one of those moments today.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's like, it's so rare to win it all.
Yeah.
How many times you ask someone about, their last high school game? It's usually not, I came out with championship ring. It's most of the time fell short. Sometimes didn't even make postseason play. Like, it's very rare. So any opportunity you have just to play the sport in high school alone is just an opportunity in itself. So again, especially if your parents or even just student athletes, like, just try not to get so hung up on the win and loss, because it's so rare. There's very few teams that can win 4 in a row. I think the Class B Britt Prince, did she have 4?
She's got 3.
She's got 3 in a row.
She's got one more year. And then I think about, like, when I was playing Wahoo. Wahoo was one of those teams that, like, was running roughshod through people. That was insane. You got Tolene and the Wylands, and I don't know what they were doing down there. They had NIL before NIL. That was like 1991. So, but yeah. So it, again, at the end of the day, bigger than the score. You're on 93.7 The Ticket, and really appreciate the opportunity to have that platform to be able to showcase these scholar athletes.
Yeah, but we're gonna have some stories from them ahead here as we get ready for break. Again, last week we had Micah. Great story. You can catch the podcast on ticketfm.com. Just a guy that makes no excuses, just talking to him. If you missed it, he only has one arm, and he was pretty much never made any excuses about it. He played every sport he could. His mom, Sherry, adopted him, and he just never made any excuses. He had such a great humor about it. So again, it's great to hear these stories. We're going to have more up ahead, going all the way up until 9 o'clock. So if you want to join the conversation, 402-464-5685 on the Starter Heyman text line. we'll throw it to break here, but we'll be back with some scholars, and we'll hear some stories from them and Pete as well. So stay tuned in. This is Bigger Than the Score on 93.7 Ticket, ticketfm.com. We'll be back right after this break.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban dando los ojos, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo pedí a la gente, diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/, nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether about it. That's true of parents. Every other trusted kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers to conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path.
Sponsored by DHHS, Nebraska Broadcast Association.
And my purpose is pretty much what I have done to start the foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Nebraska State Veterans serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Ticket Water Cooler with Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
I do know the halftime entertainment.
Oh, the halftime! That's right. Red Panda's in town. Yeah, the best halftime performer in the nation. The guy that stands on chairs.
That one terrifies me.
That one I don't like.
That one scares me.
I just remember the Bob Devane Center. For some reason, it was just always kids getting in overdressed like Husker stuff and racing down the court. Like that was the go-to. That's all they really had. What's funnier than kids in oversized clothing? That's
perfect.
Hilarious every time. Let's do it again.
I'm Chris Jackamick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jackamick, to suicide. Veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast to subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
They are our bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those friends, surprises, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket. Great on Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and Peter with Lincoln Public Schools. Harrison's here on the board. It's great to be back in studio. We're just chopping it up a little bit about travels and history and some other things. But Harrison, I know if people want to get in touch, we got 2 phenomenal scholars coming up. How can they get in touch with us?
Yeah, if you guys want to join the show, Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. And if you want to put a face to the voice, we are streaming on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube as well. And again, after the show, if you didn't catch it all, we are podcasting them, so you can get those all at theticketfm.com.
Fantastic. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to this. This has kind of always been the highlight and people talk about it, but got 2 scholars in studio. And so some I know in different capacities. So I'm going to let them share their little journey. But we got G, who is a Lincoln LPS alum. He's graduated last year. And so class of 2022 and have had to connect with him for quite a bit. So I always wanted to kind of profile what they're doing now and where they're at, and always spitting some knowledge. And then got Libby here, who, actually I became familiar with Libby. It's kind of interesting. I saw her mom when we talked about Facebook posts and everything else. She put on their proud mom moment, forgive me. And I don't think you ever need to, when you do that, to say forgive me on that. But put a shout out to her daughter at their banquet, at their wrestling banquet. And so kind of read through it and looked at the story. And I know we've had some individuals on earlier about wrestling, and this was the first year it being an NSA sanctioned sport. And so wanted to kind of follow up what that season looked like for her. And I know she's involved in soccer right now too. So first off, thank you both for being here. How y'all doing today? All right. All right. Libby, how about you?
Doing good.
All right, fantastic. Libby's got a whole crew here. She's got her fan club, and they're looking through the window. So it's great to see that. Well, hey, I'm going to start, G, with you just a little bit. Tell us about who you are, your journey. Has it always been school in Lincoln? And then I also know you're in college right now.
So I'm G. Gatner. I'm a freshman over at Hastings College. I'm originally born and raised in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I moved here in 2018, a month before my freshman year of high school. I went to Lincoln Northeast my freshman year. Then my sophomore and junior year, I went over to Lincoln High. And then I finished my senior year over at Northeast.
Okay. So how was it like making that transition? And you said right before high school.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was real scary, especially moving to Nebraska. So in South Dakota, I went to a K-8 private school. It was a small school with about 300 kids. And then I came to a school with over 1,000 kids. It was really nerve-wracking, but I really liked it. I really liked the change. And then transferring to Lincoln High, the diversity. I know a lot of people talk about it, but really being in the moment and seeing a lot of people that look like me, it's really something special.
Fantastic. I want to get back to a little bit more of that story. Libby, tell us a little bit about you. Like, has you always lived in Lincoln? Kind of your transition up to this point in school.
So I have always lived in Lincoln. I've been in LPS my entire life. I'm currently a junior at Lincoln East, and yeah.
Okay. So you're over there. You're at Lincoln East High School. Where'd you go to elementary school?
I went to Human Elementary kindergarten through 4th grade, and I opened up Wysong Elementary my 5th grade year.
Okay, so we've had some individuals at like Northwest and open up schools. So we always have individuals who are kind of the inaugural students at places. And then did you say your middle school?
I then opened up Moore middle school that next year, and I was the first 6th grade class to go all the way through.
Okay, so you just love being a newbie at places. So East was a little bit established.
Yeah.
So tell us a couple shout outs. Who's your family?
My mom, Christy, my dad, Mark, and my little sister, Maddie.
Okay, didn't want to forget any of them. And I know your you have educators in your household.
Yeah.
So your mom teaches.
My mom is a teacher currently at Dawes Middle School, and my dad is a teacher at Palmyra.
Okay, and also a wrestling coach. So we're gonna get into
Yes.
that in a little bit. Hey, G, tell us a little bit about your family. You talked about coming from South Dakota. Like, what, obviously, who's in your family? Who do you want to give a shout out to?
So we got a family of 8, 5 boys, 1 girl, and then my parents. So it's a pretty
Okay.
big family. Both my parents are from Africa, and really special family. I'm glad we're really close. They take care of me and make sure I'm doing the right things in life. So I'm really thankful for that.
Well, I know you talked about being here on spring break right now, and you said I finally get to have some good home cooked food and some meals. I know Libby's still at home, so she's not quite. She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, you got to leave home?" I mean, tell us what's a meal that they serve, and give a shout out to your mom and your folks.
For sure. So they make a lot of the African foods.
Okay.
And back in Hastings, the food's really not that good. Really not that good. So then once I got there, the first 2 weeks, it was really good. I was impressed. And it takes a lot to impress me with food because I'm really picky. But right after that, they got comfortable. They got comfortable. They definitely got comfortable, and then they just started serving whatever they wanted. But then coming home, because I just got back, and this is the first time back since Christmas break.
Wow.
So it's been a while, because long basketball season. But coming home, mom's excited. She already called me 2 days before I came. What do you want? What do you want to eat?
Okay.
Right from there.
So if we're coming over to your house, if Harris and I are coming over, we're inviting ourselves today. What is the dish that we're going to get?
Probably some yellow rice.
Okay, we can get down with that. How about you, Harrison?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've really tried too much of the African cuisine. I'd have to really think about it, but it sounds good.
Yellow rice you can get down with. Farrell's will be okay with that. The fitness fanatics that will fall into the meal plan. We'll be good on that.
Yeah.
Hey, so before we get back to Libby, tell us about you talked your parents are from Africa, and so kind of how has that made your experience with schooling and just in general as a life unique?
First, it's just every day I go to class, I'm trying to make my parents proud because I got the opportunity to get a good education and use it to my best of abilities. So my dad, he's done a lot in life, and he's always worked hard. He speaks a couple of different languages, and he's never let coming from Africa be an effect on how he runs his life. He's always getting involved, and that's what pushes me to get involved because I want to make him proud and also make myself proud and, show the next generation of colored kids that, you can do a lot of things in life. My mom, I'm always getting on her grammar and stuff and trying to she's always coming to me about Facebook stuff. Oh, am I writing this right? And just things like that.
Okay. Well, we'll have to go ahead and we'll hook your mom up with Libby's mom, and then they can go ahead and have a mutual, a time to go ahead and share about their babies and everything. So Libby, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with some of the things you're involved with. So, wrestling is one of the components that I was gravitated to hear about, but how has your family impacted your life right now? And then kind of the foray into sports?
My family's always been really supportive of me and my sport choices. I've been playing sports since forever, and I've done them all to try and find what I was really interested in. And through it all, soccer has just stuck. And then sophomore year, I was a wrestling manager.
Okay.
And I've always been around wrestling because of my dad and his coaching, but I've never actually have done it. And so joining that East Wrestling family, my sophomore year as a manager, I absolutely loved it. And then my coaches I was already thinking about joining wrestling my junior year as the first girls team, but my coaches just kind of solidified that choice for me.
Wow. So you said you obviously been around it with your dad and everything. So what drew you to the sport of wrestling? I mean, yeah, it can be offered, but there had to have been something that said okay, this is something that I want to be involved in, because you've been the first in a lot of different things. So that's not out of the realm for you, but what drew you to actually saying, I'm going to get here on the mat?
The environment around wrestling is it's so great. We're all one big family. So I really love the family environment that the sport has, and everyone's really supportive of each other, and we all just push each other to work hard and want to get better. And that's sometimes something not a lot of other sports have, especially since wrestling, you're one team, but in competition, it's just yourself.
Wow. So you get that both aspects, because I think I'm the type of person, playing basketball, I loved basketball, football, but then I kind of, after got to the point I couldn't do some of those things, I loved the fact of being able to run and compete in like marathons. I shouldn't say I loved it. It's just, but there was that competition, but you're also around other people. And so you contribute to the greater team goal, but you also have some responsibility for self.
Yeah. And at first I found that terrifying.
Okay.
Because I've always done team sports where you're on the court or you're on the field with other people, and to step out onto a mat, which is a different environment from what I was used to, by myself was very nerve-wracking. But I quickly learned that even though you're competing by yourself, you're still not alone, because you have your whole team back behind you, behind the coaches' chairs.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, G, a little bit about, you talked about you've gone to some different high schools. And so, what was that like? And then honestly, now you're out at Hastings College. I'm an alum of Hastings, so full disclosure, but what took your journey to go out? Well, talk a little bit about your high school experience first.
High school, it was an eye opener for sure. I was involved in basketball. I done track. I did the unified sports, helped out with that.
Okay.
And just been involved in like student council, NHS, and, equity stuff with you. Just involvement in high school really helped shape me to who I am today. It gave me a good perspective on a lot of things, and I'm just glad I got myself out of my comfort zone and did things like that.
Cool. And so you talked about like the involvement in different things. Why is that so important? Just for, I'll say not just young people, but why is that important for individuals to be involved in a variety of different things?
It helps you get a good aspect on like what's around in the community, and just an eye opener for sure. And then you meet a lot of other students that, like to get involved, and you can build a lot of connections from all those.
Okay. And you hear a lot of people, I mean, we've been on here, and I think it's been universal for like the last 3-4 months of just saying, get involved, get engaged. But we've not heard, I don't think, one person say like, I'm just all field hockey, I'm all golf all the time. And Libby, you talked about that earlier, said, you've sampled a variety of different sports. I'm probably thinking T-ball to basketball to tennis to other things. Like, can you talk a little bit to maybe those parents or those scholars that might be saying like, I got to be all in on this, otherwise I'm not going to get a scholarship, I'm not going to get an opportunity, because that seems like that's somewhat of the mindset for some people right now, and you may be around some of those individuals. So Libby, maybe share a little bit, why is it important to be multi-involved?
I've been involved in high school so much, and I'm only a junior and I still have senior year to go, but like G said, getting involved, you are opened up to so many new opportunities that other people don't get when they're just focused on one thing. And you get to meet so many new people, and your network just grows, and you make friendships that you don't actually think that you would originally make if you hadn't done whatever you did. Because like G, I'm also involved in unified bowling at my school. And honestly, that's something I never thought I would do, but I did it my sophomore and junior year, and I absolutely loved it because I made a bunch of new friends, and it just grows your knowledge on different things.
Well, and I think that's awesome. Can you share, we've had individuals on about unified, but what is unified bowling or unified sports for those that might be tuning in and may not know what that is?
So it's, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to explain it very well. G, help me out too if you
it's like helping out students with like any type of disabilities and stuff like that. You're partnered up with another student, and then so with unified bowling, they just pair your scores together, and there's also unified track, and then you get to run with other students.
Okay. So that's cool in a lot of ways. We had Brandy Benson on, and we had other individuals on that talked about that. You're also, I know, in National Honor Society.
I'm applying
or
for
you're
that
applying.
currently,
You're applying.
yes.
Okay, so for those that are reading the application, you got to go ahead. Libby is fully qualified. make sure she's on that. So next time we have you on, it'll be official. Sorry, I just unveiled it. I just gave the surprise away. But you talk about, like, you talked a little bit also about being multi-involved. What are some of the other things that you did that really transformed you getting to the point that you're at right now?
Like she said with the unified sports, like being able to participate in that was a lot of fun. If I looked at it like a couple years ago, I probably wouldn't have seen myself doing it. But the excitement you bring to the table, like the kids, they love to see you, and just their fellow high school students that you usually don't see around, but getting an opportunity to help them is amazing. And I remember there's a track meet at North Star or Southwest, one of the schools. And the second I got there, because I drove myself there and then they rode on the bus. But the second I got there, one kid jumped with excitement because I showed up. And just that feeling was amazing. It was just like me being here, it meant a lot to them. So I really appreciated that.
Well, we talk a lot about relationships matter, but your presence matters. And so I think sometimes we discount that, but just you physically being there means a ton in itself. So Libby, you said, you're involved in wrestling, you're involved in soccer. From an athletic standpoint, what gravitated you? You talked about being around wrestling quite a bit, but what gravitated you to soccer, and what does that look like for you at East High right now?
I've been playing soccer since kindergarten.
Okay.
I don't really know originally what just kind of pulled me to it, but it just kind of stuck. And I've always loved the physicality of soccer and being able to just run up and down the field with the ball, without the ball, playing in all kinds of weather.
Okay.
And I'm really excited for this junior season.
Awesome. I always laugh because I think when I was smiling when you said what drew me to soccer, like you said, I don't really know. I remember, I think that was kind of the standard. Like, you always put your kid. It was like soccer, t-ball. We did dance for a little bit till my daughter's feet got to be a certain size, and so it just wasn't quite as conducive to the movements of the dancer that we thought. But that was cool.
And then we do got one from the text line before we go to break here. Put a pin in it. Unknown texter. We're talking about the African food earlier. It was some yellow rice, and he was wondering, is there any African food around Lincoln? Is there a good place to go?
Oh, okay. Now you're giving your testimonial now.
I wish I can answer that question, but I can't. But if you want some African food, my mom
you ain't gonna just put that. You ain't gonna put that address out there right there. You're gonna have, by the time he gets home, your mom's gonna be like, "What? I ain't gonna let you be on the radio anymore. We got all these individuals lined up for to-go places."
Yeah, I'm fortunate to have my mom cook a lot of African food at home.
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, we're gonna hit a quick break here on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. We'll be back with some more insight from Libby and G, just kind of their journey and also some perspective and advice for everybody.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself a cup of coffee. You slice yourself off of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. No one know. Don't sleep on that nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Are you a veteran looking for a new companion animal? A dog? A cat? Or maybe something else? The Nebraska Department of Vets Get Pets program can cover up to $350 of your pet adoption fees. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov/vetsgetpets to learn more about program requirements and how to apply. Want to help support the program? Get your Vets Get Pets specialty license plates from the Nebraska DMV. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. They never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage of alcohol and other underage.samhsa.gov.
Sponsored by DHHS and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Bigger Than the Score right here on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. And again, if you want to join the conversation, we got G and Libby here, a couple of scholars. Started him in text line 402-464-5685, and we actually had one come in over the break here. And they asked, this one's going to you, Libby, what factors are you looking for in choosing a college? From proud Aunt Debbie.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Aunt Debbie. I don't exactly know yet. I'm just kind of starting, the basic search. All I really know is that I do want to try and look out of state for college just because I want that new experience. I want to kind of just be out on my own. I'm not exactly sure if I want to play sports in college, or how I want to do sports in college, but I really want to go into dentistry and orthodontics.
Okay. Now, I had to look at Mom and Dad over there. They didn't know that you were talking about leaving out of state. I didn't know that was going to be the announcement. So I didn't see anybody put their hands head or like pound on the glass and like, no, you're not going anywhere.
I've been saying it for a while.
Okay. No, that's fantastic. Like, is you doing that culture? So I want to get to G in a minute, but like, what are some things that like you would like encourage people to look at as they kind of go through this process?
Obviously look at athletics if that's something that you're into. And then I'm also really involved with different leadership opportunities. So I am probably going to look for a college that can offer some sort of leadership aspect for me, because I've been a part of leadership programs my entire life. I've been a part of Launch. I'm currently in Lincoln Gold. I've done youth leadership Lincoln. I've been on student councils. I've done it all outside of sports.
Okay, fantastic. And so that kind of catapults over to G. You talked during the break a little bit about wanting to share a little bit more about being multi-involved.
Yeah, for sure. So, sports, it doesn't last forever. And I know a lot of kids, just
What? I mean, you looking at Harrison and I mean, we're up here, we're physical specimens.
how long
I
you
mean,
been stretching for?
I
huh?
mean, I stretched before we came in this morning, so go ahead.
But like, overall, I don't want to only be remembered for sports. And when I go back to visit Northeast sometimes, and just like even if I go back to South Dakota, I'm remembered for who I am, and that's what I think is most important, just who you are and what you do besides sports.
When I think you talk about being iconic, but having a presence. So when you step in the room, those same scholars, those same teachers, but also, other individuals talk about, how great you not were, but how great you are and your impact on like that culture, the building. You've been in multiple buildings. You've been the first at places. And so you've had to lay the foundation for what that culture, what the atmosphere is like. And so I think that goes a long way where kind of the basket, at some point you stop scoring goals. At some point you stop making baskets.
And we actually, I believe last week, and I like what you said there, because Nick Bryant, he just got a track record for Nebraska. And he was talking about that exact thing. And Nick, I think he calls himself Nick Swift when he's running, but he says he has to have another identity outside of sports, because it just becomes very hard when that's all you are, is just a sports identity. Right. So he makes them identity, gives them different names. Not everyone's going to do that, but nonetheless, he has his own kind of business side to him where he's like, this is, we're cutting the sports, because he knows, especially in the track world, where do you go from D1 if it's not the Olympics? So, you got to be prepared, because even injuries, even if you are that good, you just never know. So again, with what G said there, it's really good to kind of have, an identity outside that sport as well.
Well, with that, I know there's been people in your lives that have probably maybe helped, support you building up who you are. And so we've always talked about mentorship, and the show's been big on that, and DP. And I know they have the mentorship hour on Wednesdays. G, first off, like, who have been some mentors in your life, and what things have they like poured into you that have kind of been like, man, as you look back, you're like, man, that was, I'm really thankful. I'm in a better place because of that.
So just a lot of leaders in the community, my parents, and many coaches I've had. They've always told me stuff that can help me the next day. And if I'm needing help in anything, to always go back and reach out and get some help. So I'm really thankful for that.
If there's one of those things that they told you that you would want to regurgitate to others to put in their wheelhouse, like what's one of those things that somebody has said to you or somebody has done for you?
So my StuCo leader, her name is Miss Kosick. She's always told me to never lose my smile and always continue to have, a positive energy. Because whenever, people see me, I always have a positive energy, and they're like, just never lose that. Never lose that. Even random people will come up to me and it's like, young man, you have a beautiful smile. Don't lose it. So they're just remembering that and continue to just be positive around. So that's nice.
Yeah, that impact of, just like I said, of presence, but knowing you. And if you haven't got a chance, you got to go on 93.7 The Ticket on YouTube or Twitter and see this young man smile, because I mean, you got a good set of teeth. So sometimes that goes when you get a little bit older. It's me and Harrison. No, I'm just playing with you. Libby, what about you? Who have been mentors in your life?
So my family's always been really supportive of me and my decisions. All of the neighbors have been really supportive too. They're like my second moms, my second dads. Whenever something happens, I run over to a house and tell all of them right away. All of my wrestling coaches, Jeff Rutledge, Keenan McCurdy, Alan Gonzer, especially this season, helping me on the mat, really growing my knowledge of wrestling. And my soccer coaches, Mallory Armstrong and Emily Matthews, have really helped me too, and they've been really supportive. And Jeremy Fisher too. when it was first said that East was going to have girls wrestling, my coach Matthews, she told me that I was the first soccer player she thought of about going out for wrestling. And so she was not surprised to see me do it, actually.
What I love when you said like the physical aspect, so I can only imagine like right off the bat, they were like, okay, going down the list, of different sports and who wasn't doing anything during the winter is like, okay, Libby's got to be that. So talk about like, what was it like being the first just female wrestling program, not only just in the school but in the state? Like, what was that experience like this year?
It was actually a lot of fun. Wasn't as nerve-wracking as I originally thought. Some meets were definitely a lot more nerve-wracking than others, but like I've said, just having the support of your team and your coaches, it just really helps you, and the atmosphere and the culture is just absolutely amazing.
So when you became aware, like obviously they're going to have wrestling, what were some of the, I guess, challenges just of, going into environments for your meets, and not just, you being there, but just as female wrestlers, like kind of saying, okay, we belong here. Our performance is going to speak for itself. Were there any other challenges or naysayers that kind of still put themselves out there that you were like, we're going to have to knock this out?
I haven't heard of any naysayers.
Okay.
Everyone's been really supportive of girls wrestling at East and in Nebraska. And I think everyone was just finally happy that girls wrestling was actually sanctioned by NSAA. And I've actually heard a lot of people say that it should have happened sooner.
Right.
So everyone's just been really supportive. The hardest part's just been all the physical aspect of getting in shape and dealing with injuries and stuff.
That never leaves. That the hardest aspect. That's why they got a 2-hour show after this with the Fitness Fanatics. So that's still be the hardest aspect. So G, you have taken your talents not to South Beach. Sorry, that's a little LeBron reference for you. But you took your talents academically, athletically to Hastings College. And so, tell us about that process and what, why Hastings College?
First, the hospitality. I needed to make sure I was in a good dorm room.
Okay.
And Hastings actually had a good dorm room, and they also have an honors program.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure I was getting involved in some stuff like that. And then good basketball. Got Coach Todd Radon. I really liked what his goals and views for the team for the future, because he's a new coach also, and I was a new player. And just like high school, when I got there freshman year, they got a new coach. So I'm just used to the new views and new coaches and trying to start a culture.
So as far as that, like, what are your aspirations and what will you be accomplishing, once Hastings is over? What are you there for to, post, future career?
So I'm a psychology major
Okay.
and education minor. I hopefully just want to become a therapist, a clinical therapist. And work with people and just help with whatever problems and stuff they have.
Okay. So, as we kind of go to the tail end of the show, what are some pieces of advice that you would have? And I'm going to ask both of you for scholars. We've always asked, like, what is some, you've given a lot of knowledge, but what is some, tangible advice you would give to scholars right now? And then on the other end, what is some advice that you would give to those parents out there?
For scholars, don't wait last minute. Just anything in life, don't wait last minute. Start now, think now, plan ahead. Also take it one step at a time. Don't jump. A lot of people want to jump to things, but a lot of things, it's about the journey, not the end. Not the destination.
Destination.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. And then the parents.
Continue to support your kids. Just the love and support from, family members and parents, and it means a lot to kids. It means a lot.
What is give a tangible example of what that looks like? Because there can be some really good examples, but there's some crazies out there. And so I think needing to lay that out, just give a tangible example. What's that look like in your family?
So just like from sports games to award ceremonies, it's the same love. My parents are always proud, and I'm happy for that.
That's all right. Libby, what about you? You gave some advice, but what is some advice to parents? I know you talked about you wanted to work with teeth. So you won't have to work with G's teeth anytime soon. He's got that beautiful smile already. So take him off your contact list. But what are some things of advice you would provide scholars first?
I would say just get involved. You don't do just one thing in high school. You can have like your main activity, but just do a bunch of different things to get involved, because you never actually know what you'll find out that you love. And it's just, you'll have way more fun and you'll have so many great experiences if you just get out there and get involved.
And what's a piece of advice you provide parents?
Like G said, just continuous love and support of your kids. After a competition, whether they win or lose, don't nitpick at what they do. Just, hey, you did a great job. I love you. Let's go out to eat.
Yeah, I think they talk about that. Like sometimes the worst thing after a sporting event is the ride home.
Yeah.
And I know as a parent, like I had to learn sometimes the hard way on that of just letting it go. And as a coach for my daughter and coach for other individuals, like people don't understand that. And you've got a family that has been great, but you also got a dad who's coached and understands it. And so that's sometimes the toughest thing of like separating, like, okay, if we fix this thing right there, instead of just like, you know what, let's just go get ice cream. Like it was cool. I am just like what somebody says is like my proudest moment is just getting to watch you. And so I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, and we do got one more from the text line before we get out of here. And this one is to Libby. This one comes from Phil, and he wants to know how fast could you pin Pete? He's giving it a minute and a half.
See, right there, he's gonna have to go ahead. You can go ahead and give your response.
I'm gonna say I probably couldn't even pick him up.
See. No, I appreciate what she's saying is like I'm big bone. I'm big bone. So that's no. Hey, I definitely want to thank both of y'all. G, I've known for a tremendous amount of time. Proud of you, man. Like I said, your presence in the room always lights things up. Libby, it is a pleasure getting to know you as an East alum of 1991. Just great to have a Spartan in the house. You have been on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score, and I always like to end with a quote. And so I watched the Green Book last night, and so one of the lines in that movie, if you haven't seen it, it just says, genius is not enough. It takes courage to change people's hearts. And so I'm just going to ask everybody for this next week, show an element of courage to help change people's hearts to where they need to be. So there's respect, love, and value. Again, thanks for joining 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and Lincoln Public Schools with Harrison.